What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Off the Couch Boxing. I'm your host, Reckless Rex Ruger. That, of course, is the Alexis Arguello puppet. We're back with another banger. My guests are here. I'm excited, and we are going to get down to it and chop it up ASAP. Here we go again. And there they are, folks. Now we got the technical issues ironed out, man. We got the boys back in here. I even decided to even just stop hitting recording, and I just fired it back up again, man. So we're starting over from scratch, fellas.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we kind of had to. You know, I mean, I had too much of a lull. Nobody wants to hear me bumping my gums the whole time, trying to kill time. So I just figured, you know what? I'll stop. I'll work out the technical issues, and I'll get you guys back in here, man. So happy to have both of you guys, man. So we'll kind of start from the beginning. FRES OQUENDO, obviously, man, heavyweight legend. Joey BORRERO, who, once you're on here, I consider you a friend of the show, man. You were just on here not that long ago. Up-and-coming fighter yourself, the nephew of the great Felix Tito Trinidad. Now you're rolling with FRES, man, surrounding yourself with great boxing minds.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, that's the key to it. You know, we have a saying in Spanish, dime con quien anda y te diré quién eres. And in English, it translates to, tell me who you with and I'll tell you who you are. So you surround yourself with champions, you're going to become a champion.
I love that. And now, FRES, man, because we had technical issues before, I kind of want to backtrack a little bit, and we'll start again, man. So what is your connection, FRES OQUENDO, with Joey BORRERO?
Well, like he said, you know, we have great history. His grandfather was one of my first trainers in Puerto Rico, the great Popo Guzman, who not only, installed great techniques in me, but installed confidence that I didn't have from when I was in Chicago. And going back to the motherland, my homeland, Puerto Rico, my birthplace, it was the best move that I made for my career, for my confidence, and now I got a legacy to uphold. And I think, his grandfather being that man.
Yeah. And now, FRES, in your career, man, I was saying this in the little preamble before the show started. In your generation, during your fighting days, you fought damn near everybody that there was out there to fight.
I took all of them.
I was just looking at the resume. I was just looking at the resume, and my head hurt just looking at the names. It's absolutely incredible. So I got to ask, with all that great heavyweight talent, who gave FRES OQUENDO his toughest fight?
You know what? I gotta say, I know Tua was the hard one, probably the hardest puncher, but he was one of the easiest fights. But in my experience, But anyway, one of my hardest fights, it's interesting you bring that up, was a fight back in 1999 at the MGM Grand. It was against two top undefeated prospects. Actually, he was favored to beat me 11-1 by the name. He's the Olympic, I believe, silver medalist from Nigeria. He was like 6'6", 250 pounds.
Yeah.
Mr. Olympia, the great, probably one of the first African or only Nigerian super heavyweight to win an Olympic medal, Duncan Duckworry. Does that ring a bell?
See, that happens a lot, and I'm always surprised when that happens. Sometimes I'll ask guys with a star-studded resume who the toughest guy was, and it won't always be the most obvious name.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times it's a complete surprise. Like, I'll look at your resume and I'll see Evander Holyfield, James Toney, Chris Bird, and then you pull out a name like that, which is crazy, man. You know what I mean? But
because they bring the best out. I mean, you had to dig deep. I mean, this is a fight that I was a major underdog in. He hit very hard. He knocked everybody out, prior to me fighting him. And it was a fight I had to dig deep. I had to get back to my roots. Coming from the projects, Chicago. Latham Homes by Cabrini Green Project. If I can survive that, I can survive any fight.
Yeah. Now, Joey, the last time you were on, I can't remember what we talked about because I do so many of these episodes, but do you have a fight coming up? What's on the horizon for you right now?
Well, we're still in talks about it, in negotiations, but I should be having, if not a title fight, in September. Then we're going to move in another direction, but that's what we're aiming for right now. We're in negotiations for my first world title fight. Mm-hmm. If that doesn't come through, then we're going to take a different fight, a different avenue. But that's what we're doing right now.
And remind people where you fight, at what weight class.
So, I fight at 135, but right now, this fight, I'm moving up to 47. Yeah. My uncle's been advising me for years, so we're making the move up to 47 and taking this fight.
And now going up 2 weight classes, you know, do you feel confident in making this move?
I feel a lot stronger, feel a lot better. You know, my strength is there, my speed. You know, I feel a lot better than I did at 135 for sure. The at this point in my training camp at 135, I would start feeling kind of sluggish, drained. You know, right now I feel fresh. I feel brand new. I'm like, I feel great.
And now, FRES, I want to ask you, you know, if someone were to ask you right now, I'm sure you have a video out there somewhere on YouTube, FRES OQUENDO highlights or whatever, but if you could point to one time and say, hey, if I wanted to show somebody the best FRES OQUENDO, me performing at my best, I would show them what fight?
The David Tua fight.
Yeah.
One of the greatest flawless performance day to his, again, his father, which is technically his grandfather, Bofo Guzman, and of course Papa Trinidad, just to name a few. They instructed me to be a chemist in that ring, a technician. That night.
Would you? And for you, FRES, how early did you get the boxing gloves on? For people that don't know your backstory, man, how did it start with you?
Well, it started at the age of 13, thanks to my older brother, Hector Morales, who's been a very inspirational big brother of mine. And yeah, he started at, you know, when he was in college. He was at Loyola University in Chicago. And, you know, it inspired me when he used to come back home, bringing trophies. My mom would be motivated. And me being a little kid at the time, like, man, I want to do something like that. I want to make my mom happy. And, man, next year, you know, history was made, you know, because my brother, I started boxing.
And I don't know if you guys are aware, but I have dubbed it the Summer of Hagler, and I'm wearing the hat right now.
I love it. I love it.
I don't know why it's the Summer of Hagler, but I've just decided that I'm going to call this the Summer of Hagler.
Yeah. Oh man, well earned, man. Hagler.
Why not? Right? I mean, why not? The late great.
I don't know if you know my story. You know how I started boxing, right? You know, Hagler had to do be a part of that. Did you hear my story? How I started boxing or no?
I know your story, but share it with the viewers. Yes.
Yeah, back in 1987 when I started boxing, the reason why I started boxing, I went to my dad's house. May God bless his soul. He's not here with us at the moment, but he's the reason why I started boxing. And I got so motivated when the super fight at the time was called, Hagler Sugar Ray, but it was called the super fight.
Oh yeah, I remember
I think the war was Hagler and Hearns, but the super fight was with Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler. And that fight right there was so, man, just unprecedented, dynamic. You get a slugger, a warrior, and then a technician, a smooth butter fighter like Sugar Ray. That just motivated me, and I was 13 at the time, and the rest was history. And that's how I started boxing. I got to meet both. It's interesting at the WWE convention. I got pictures with them, and also I'm good friends with Hagler's son. You know, and you know, it's an honor that I was able to, man, meet these guys in person and let them know they're the reason why I started boxing.
Yeah, I've had Marvin's son James on the podcast as well.
And
he does good things in with local boxing promoting, and just a great guy. But yeah, I was 14 years old when that fight happened too, and it was a big deal to me when it was going on too. And I'll tell you what, an interesting thing, you know, doing this podcast, I try to keep my ear to what's going on in the boxing world. I jump into different boxing rooms and forums on social media, and that decision is still hotly contested amongst boxing fans. Boxing fans, if you bring up Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler and just throw it out there as an argument, it gets boxing fans talking to this day.
Yeah, facts. Those are
40
facts,
years later almost, and people are still. And now, FRES, let me ask you your opinion. Who did you think won the fight?
Well, you know, I'm a technician. I'm a boxer, and you know, even though a lot of people got their own opinion, but my opinion, you know, not because he's a boxer and all that, he did land it more punches. It may not be thunderous like the Hagler did, but he landed more frequently points, and I give him the edge.
I agree with you.
He dominated, but he edged him out. Yeah,
I agree with you. I've watched it, and will continue to watch it once in a while, just because people will come on this podcast. People will come on this podcast and implore me to watch it again, who are Hagler fans, because I scored at 115, 113 for Sugar Ray. But people will say, no, go back and watch this and this and this. But I come up with the same score every time. I don't know why I do it to myself. I keep coming up with the same score. So. But I'm a fan of both guys too. Now, Joey, what are you? Obviously you've attached yourself to the great FRES OQUENDO. What has he taught you up to this point, man? Like, what have been the best lessons you've learned from FRES?
You know, a lot of the stuff that people, because I get a lot of criticism. People are like, "Oh man, you're a welter. You were a lightweight. Why go train with somebody that was a heavyweight?" You know, and people don't understand that as a lightweight, as a welterweight, you can learn consistency from the heavyweights. Not just that, how to properly position your power. You know, because it's different. Technique can be there. He's teaching me a lot of techniques, little tricks that you would think, oh, it doesn't make a difference because it's only an inch that you're moving, or your right hand is just you're bringing it up just a little bit, but it makes the world of a difference. You know, inches in boxing is like they say, it does make a difference. You know, but the way that he's been teaching me how to position the power and deliver it, that's what I was struggling with, because I was a fighter that I would just throw the power, and if it landed, drop you, cool. If not, I'm gonna keep throwing the same punch till it landed. Now he's getting me to the point where I can accurately deliver the power and make sure that it's effective. So it's an effective aggression. That's what he's teaching me right now.
I love that. I love that Frez is over there nodding and smiling like a proud papa over there. Like he's thrilled. He's thrilled to hear you giving the right answer like that. And now Frez, well, I get what you're saying, because Frez was not just a banger of a heavyweight, as he mentioned earlier. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you make the point about a welterweight. How could you be working with a heavyweight? You know, but Frez, a lot like James Toney, he did a lot of things that conventional heavyweights do not or are able to do. You know what I mean?
Correct.
You know, even though you have a good amount of knockouts on your record, I always thought of you as one of the more technically sound heavyweights.
Oh yeah, that comes with the experience and my confidence. Like I said, thanks to the grandfather and Papa Trinidad that instilled in me. So in my amateur career, I was not known as a puncher or the knockout rate that I have in my professional than my amateur career. So like Joey was saying earlier, I learned how to plan on my on punches with accuracy, gracefully, and don't have to get tense and throw a punch. If you want to throw a hard punch, no, just throw it accurately. Like the great mentor of mine, Ali, taught me very much and went to several of my fights. And he's the one that even predicted that I was going to win that fight against Duncan Duckworth. He was there ringside with Mauricio Suleiman. And just to get that part of history and knowing that, wow, these historians predicted I was going to win. Mauricio Suleiman's dad and Muhammad,
Yeah.
they both pointed at me. Like, they were like, who do you think these two prospects going to win? And man, it's interesting that two of the most big figures in boxing, Suleiman, Jose, and then the great Ali, pointed at me.
That's huge. Yeah, that's huge. And you share the ring, as I mentioned earlier, with some real bona fide legends. When you're sharing the ring with guys like Holyfield, with guys like James Toney, with slick guys like Chris Bird, what's the one fight that you came away feeling like you really learned a lot and really upgraded as a fighter? Who brought the best out of you?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. Chris Bird. Because remember, he's the most elusive, speedy, tricky heavyweight. With these, not powerful, but, pretty accurate. And those are hard for anybody to beat. Punches, yeah. None of them have a good time against Chris Bird. But my style and my confidence that was instilled, again, through his great the great Popo Guzman, it brought me a lot of confidence. It made me, think, like positive, like don't doubt yourself, because I grew up like that, growing up in the housing projects in Chicago. I had a lot of doubts, and I think these people that was in my corner during my heydays, his grandfather and Papa Trinidad and Freddie Roach, just to name a few, that installed that in me, and that was the difference, that brought the best of me and to my ability, not only being known as a boxer, but a boxer with punch, with power punch.
And now, Joey, as you make this leap up to welterweight, and I specifically remember the episode that I did with you not that long ago. You did throw out some names. You know what I mean? You did. You dropped some names. There were some people on your quote unquote hit list, or people that you would like to make a fight with. Has that list changed now that you're moving up to welterweight? What would be the fight that would be the dream fight for you? Is there one at this point?
At welterweight, for sure. I was just at the Oscar De La Hoya's event over here in Chicago, And I would love to fight Prograis, even if I have to go catchweight 142, 143, I would love to do that fight. Oscar Duarte is another guy that I would love to fight at 47. Oscar
Yeah.
Duarte was actually my old sparring partner back when we did training camp with Linares. So those are two names at the 147, 140 division that I would still like. Of course, like I said, the names that I said before, like Emiliano Vargas, I would love to make that fight happen. Who wouldn't want to see a Trinidad Vargas second generation happen?
Man,
You know what I mean?
unbelievable.
I would also love Pitbull Cruz, Pitbull Isaac Cruz, or Navarrete. Those two names still don't change. I'm still gonna go for that.
Yeah. And now, where do you see his career? Where do you see his ceiling, Frez? Like, what can this young man accomplish? You know what I mean? Like, what do you see him accomplishing in this great sport?
Well, he's got age on his side, so that's a plus. Now he had a nice little tools and me and Nate Jones, to get his technicality of defense. It's very important. The lost art that I instill in all these kids, the youth that I train, is a very important, in people's career. The lost art, which is defense. Everybody's always offense, this and that. But you got to remember the defense, the lost art. You got to protect and hit back, counter punches. Just like the great Sugar Ray Robinson, just to name a few. And those short punches, the 6-inch punches, like the great Joe Louis, he's throwing the hooks, right hand hooks against lefties, like I did with Bird. Those punches was accurate. And that's so important that you have to install not only, through my career, but next generation, like Joey and Joey, the next generation after that. So those things, not little, but those are major part that you got to instill in these fighters, not only to get the confidence, but to make sure they throw it accurately and productively.
And what would you say right now, Frez, is your role, to catch people up to what you've been doing since your boxing career? Are you officially a coach / trainer right now, or are you just working with some people?
No. Well, my passion as a kid and before I even retired, anything was always to give those kids second chances from the projects, from the hood, from the ghetto.
I love that.
And that was my passion, and I've done that throughout my career, and I'm doing it now. So my job is doing something that I love to do, work with at-risk, underprivileged youth. So that's what I do. So I have my boxing academy,
Right?
The Contender Boxing Academy, my foundation, which I employ a lot of former fighters, Golden Glove fighters, even Olympians like Nate Jones, who trains them, and just to name a few that works for my foundation, and I get to give these fighters a fighting chance to make a little decent living. Help me train the youth. These underprivileged, at-risk youth that I train. I get sponsored by the state, the city, the counties. That's how I get my funding. And man, I thank my community because all what I've done to my community throughout my years, and I'm getting repaid back slowly but surely, and I appreciate the people from Illinois for that, so I can keep my legacy going through boxing.
And it's God's work, man. Taking these kids off the street, giving them something to focus on.
God's work. You said it, brother.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And so, Joey, that is absolutely an amazing idea. Here in 2025, we can have a version of Trinidad versus Vargas, man. That really is exciting, though, man. That's a piece of history again. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like we just saw it with Chris Eubank and Connor Benn, carrying on that legacy of their fathers.
Yes, very interesting. Yes.
It's pretty, that's pretty mind blowing. So Frez, for you challenged for the heavyweight championship 3 times. And you're watching your career. You're such an amazing talent. In your opinion, in your words, what was the obstacle that prevented you from capturing a world title on those occasions?
It's sad, but at least they had a resolution. WBC, I don't know if you're aware, they've been having resolutions, years after the championship fights, like Nelson, Jeff Fennick, just to name a few. I didn't mention my fight with Bird. So now these organizations, they giving, resolution opportunity, which they, seal and deliver. And they crown me with a WBC championship and an acknowledgement. And I appreciate it. And Chris Bird out in some podcasts letting the people know, hey, that's a fight I did lose. You know, FRES got the better of me, and
Yeah.
you know, so with these acknowledgments, you know, I feel like wow, you know, it was 20 years later, but at least I got a crown, a championship that I could be proud of
Yeah.
and talk about. You know,
Yeah.
and show my students, my underprivileged, at risk, that people that you know they didn't think I have second chances, and here I am giving them second chances and showing my hard work, dedication. Even though I didn't get crowned that evening, that day that I really should have been crowned. 20 years later, you know, the WBC, you know, did a resolution, gave me the WBC championship signed, delivered by Mauricio Suleiman, which I appreciate and wholeheartedly. And I hope he don't have to go, or the future other kids don't have to go through what I had to go through, wait and do it
Right.
20 years to get a world championship title after they won.
Right. And shout out to Chris Bird. I've had him on the podcast a few times, man. A gentleman, a true gentleman for being able to, for being a big enough man to admit that you got the better of him, you know?
Yes, man. That's great because all the organizations, you know, the organizations that are doing these resolutions. I don't know if the IBF or WBO, but I'm pretty sure the only ones at the moment WBC, and I think the WBA, but I know the WBC is doing great things for the fighters. You know, with not only the testing, you know, the drug testing and all that, but you know, the crown achievement of the fighters that fought for these organizations.
Now, Joey, as a guy that's about to throw your hat into the welterweight ring, we are going to see in November probably something that you're probably somewhat interested in, another welterweight title fight between Devin Haney, Brian Norman Jr. I don't know how much you know about these two gentlemen, but elaborate on that fight if you are familiar with them and what you expect to have happen in that fight.
That's a pretty good fight. We see that Brian Norman has what Devin was getting caught with last time, which is a good left hook.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Devin Haney, he has a great accurate IQ because I've shared the ring with Devin Haney. He's actually gonna be here August 23rd. You know, the only thing is that if Devin doesn't do the improvements of covering up for that left hook, because he was well aware that that's what Ryan had going into the Ryan Garcia fight,
Exactly.
but yet still he didn't make the improvement. So we need to see if his corner and him are able to make that improvement in this fight.
Right.
Because I don't care. Steroids, no steroids. The steroids doesn't stop you from thinking and fixing your IQ like them. I just caught with a left hook. Let me put my hand up. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Well said. Yeah.
You know, so we got to see if they're able to make that adjustment. Now, going off of styles, Brian Norman is also a good boxer. You know, he has a good boxing IQ that people don't understand. You know, it's not like Devin's. Devin is a master boxer. That's what I want to say because I've seen him and I've known Devin since he was at Hit Hard Factory at Sap Judah. Okay. Brian Norman is not your elegant, elaborate boxer, but he's still considered a good boxer. His style is a little bit different. Now, if I'm gonna edge out style wise, I would definitely go the Devin Haney way. Now, if I'm gonna edge out by hurting him and catching him, I'm gonna go Brian Norman. So it just depends if you're gonna go with the boxer puncher or you're gonna go with the boxer.
Right. And now you mentioned that Devin Haney is coming there. Are you in some way connected to this camp, sparring with Devin to get ready for the fight?
Well, no. So I'm my coach. Coach Nate Jones is the one that's actually having an event going on, like also us in Poe, but we're having a back to school program on the 13th. And then the Nate Jones Foundation is having one on the 23rd.
Nice.
And Devin Haney is coming out for the 23rd. I'm out here for training camp, and I'm also here supporting the one for Wednesday the 13th for the FOBA Foundation.
Okay.
So, but yeah, no, we've been good friends. I've been knowing Bill. I've been knowing Devin for a long time. I don't think they're gonna come out here to get in the ring, but if they want to, you know, we're ready. So.
Okay. And FRES, we just saw, the heavyweight division, certainly your field of expertise. We just saw Usyk again dominant. Is there a heavyweight right now at all who can beat Alexander Usyk?
Yeah, Usyk is an interesting character. You know, he's up there in age, you know, almost in his 40s. And for him to do what he's doing is very, very impressive.
Yeah.
Right now, man, I was going to answer that question, man. It's like I don't see it, man. And he's getting up there in age. He's gonna be 40 like in a year.
Yeah, he's still making it look easy.
Yeah, yeah. Just nowadays these heavyweights are not like my generation, the early 2000s. I wish our
Right,
generation was there,
right,
and make this type of money that Turkey guy that's paying, that's well deserved, like Usyk, hundreds of millions of dollars. Man, I wish I was during this time. I was in the wrong time. Like,
right,
man,
right. I know,
right.
I know. I don't. Now the bread is really right. It really is. Now, what do you think of a guy, Frez? Because you're an old school guy with that throwback kind of mentality. What do you think of a guy like Jake Paul and what he brings to the sport? Good or bad?
The thing is, it's it's entertainment.
Right,
It's not the best thing for boxing because he's not really that talented. The guy, he's in decent shape. He's a YouTube phenomenon. He's got a lot of publicity, a lot of clout in his little field. But no, he's not nowhere near, like, for instance, one of my uh, fighters that I mentor, Noel Nicole, the Armenian who just controversially, lost his WBC title to, uh, what's his name, the cruiserweight WBC champ now. That's uh,
is it Badu?
yeah, Badu, yeah,
Yeah,
Badu.
Badu
Which
Jack. Yeah,
they're gonna have a rematch. Yeah, so I mentor Noah, the one who fought Badu. So Badu's been out for several years, and how the game goes crazy. Now they crown him champ, but he can't even carry their jock strap. He won't even go several rounds with those guys.
right, right.
It's a nonsense that this guy, he's milking the game, and I can't hate him for that. Hate on him. He's making multi-million dollars fighting the Mike Tysons, the Has-Beens, the these other MMA fighters and all that. And I even called him out, because I love to find out about one of his former trainers. I don't know if he trains him anymore. JB Flores kind of went in his ear and said, Fred is still dangerous, even though he's
Yeah,
50 now.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's too dangerous, so at least I called him out and stuff like that.
Flores
You
not.
better watch it, Joey. You better watch it, Joey. You better calm Unk down over there, man. Frez is ready. Frez is ready to go.
Right.
Frez is ready to go.
Right.
But Frez,
He
huh?
keeps up with me, right? Running
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything. He keeps
Look-
up with me and everything. So
Listen, he
people don't
looks it.
really know that.
Yeah, he looks it. He looks it. Now, Frez, as I mentioned earlier, shared the ring with so many legends. I can't go through all of them, but I just want to ask for just a little short remembrance of just a couple of your fights, which you remember from your fight with Evander Holyfield. What was it like sharing the ring with him?
Oh man, it's like it's like a folklore legend. I'm a little kid, used to watch him fight on HBO pay-per-view. When I was in high school, and here I am, getting ready to fight. The folklore legend of Holyfield himself. But once that bell rang, it was time for business, and I felt great. It was pretty controversial. That he hit me with a punch, caught me off balance. But nothing real hard. But I thought I edged them. People that see the majority of the people, say I beat them, over at least 3 to 4 rounds, and
I
it's
agree.
unfortunate. I was always, at the bad end of the stick, just like the James Tony Bird, just to name a few.
Yeah.
But I got my respect. Every time I see Holyfield at the events, at the WBC conventions, at the Hall of Fames, the Atlantic City Hall of Fame, they always show each other love. And it's brotherly love, man. It's just sad that they did that to me, like you said. But like I said, I got recognized for the WBC, got this world title, which I inspire the future, the youth, like Jordan himself, that they could get that title too.
It's well deserved. It's well deserved. Now, another guy I want to ask you about often gets forgotten about in the heavyweight division, but one of the most legendary chins. I got to know what it's like to keep punching on Oliver McCall.
Ooh, man, that was a beautiful.
The legendary chin. The legendary chin. People forget, man.
Yes,
Oliver McCall, man.
yeah.
Had
He
that,
was like Marion. Remember Marion?
Yeah.
Wilson. Marion Wilson.
Yep.
Is he still living by any chance?
I think so.
Yeah, the great Marion was. I was this close to fighting him. But anyway, I fought another Granite Chin fighter, and actually I knocked him down when I was up and coming, when I was promoted by America Presents.
Okay.
Great. He passed away though. You know what I'm talking about?
I think. Oh yeah. What's his name? Yeah. I remember you fought him early in your career. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Edward Bigfoot Martin.
Yeah.
Yep.
But what was it like with Oliver though? Oliver is widely renowned as one of the great chins.
Oliver was just like very impressed, with my boxing skills. And man, for me, winding up, hitting him in the chin, and man, I'm like, holy cow, this guy just kept on coming. It was an honor. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
Again, that's one of those fights that I fought, and in the hometown's backyard, because he's at Florida at the time with the
Yeah. That's a rough night. That's a rough
Henry
night.
Revolta, with the Seminole. But yeah, the fight, man, I'm like, wow, that guy could take a putt, because I hit him with so many bombs, man. I mean, he hit me with a couple, but not that much. So he really already couldn't hit me. But man, he's the truth, man. And to this day and age, he's still fighting. I
Yeah.
heard
I know.
for like a couple of months ago. Is that
Ageless.
accurate?
Yeah, he's ageless. Now, all right, I just got to ask you one more, man. A guy very near and dear to me. I think his best skills were more at 160, 168, but he kept it up to heavyweight. What was it like sharing the ring with James Toney?
Oh, it was very iconic. I mean,
That's all to me.
One of
Yeah.
the sickest counter punches fighters with the shoulder roll and all that. He's the original OG and then Mayweather. But
Yeah.
James Toney's the OG. Oh man, it was iconic. My confidence went to a different level, knowing that now
Yeah.
that I hang with him, I can also beat him and be kind of dominant with him, which I showed in that fight.
Yeah.
And man, very cool afterward, gentlemen. I see him every year at the Atlantic City Hall of Fame. In the last 3 years, he's always showing me mad love, and
Love him.
it was great sharing the ring with that legend, and that's how my popularity grew, because. And not only I hung it with him, I outpointed him. In the compy box, they had me outpointed him. You can see the fight, you'll see that. So again, got short end of the stick. Dan Goose was his promoter at the time, Goose and Torter. So the fix was there, but I didn't knock him out.
And so Joey, for you right now, man, obviously the pound for pound list, Ring Magazine, all that stuff, it's always subjective. People always agree. They disagree. Who do you think right now, man, pound for pound is the best fighter out there? I see the Ring Magazine right now has Naoya Inoue is the #1 fighter.
Yeah. I mean, the Japanese monster, you can't take away from him. One thing that I love from Inoue is that he didn't come into Top Rank as the A-side fighter. He came in and fought as a B-side, and he started dominating, knocking all the fighters they put in front of him, to the point where he forced himself into the A-side. And that's why you can't take anything away from him, because he has boxing ability, he has power, but not just that, he has a chin too.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. And so before you guys got on here, I was bringing up that we are about a month and some change away from one of the biggest fights. I don't know. It's probably right up there with Mayweather, Pacquiao, with Conor McGregor and Mayweather. People are excited about Canelo Crawford. Joey, what's your assessment of that fight and how it's going to go down?
So I got Crawford.
And I may have asked you when you were on the podcast the last time, but for people that didn't see it, to tell me how you think it's going to go.
So I got Crawford. Crawford has the ability to outbox him. Not just that, but Crawford is a wrestler. So that wrestler strength is gonna come in. People think that he's not gonna be able to bring up the weight and be able to manage the weight. It's something that we get a lot. I'm experiencing it right now, because I'm like, I'm moving up 2 weight classes,
Yeah.
So seeing him move up 2 weight classes, I can kind of relate. Where people think you're coming up to 47, you're going to be the underdog. It's not going to be the same with him. He's moving up to pretty much like heavyweight, and they think that he's not going to be able to hang in there. But I think that as far as skill-wise, he's going to be the dominant in skills. Now, when it comes to power, he has to be careful with Canelo's power, because Canelo's not as good of a boxer as Crawford, but he's still a dangerous boxer.
Oh, yeah.
Has dangerous power and has a good skill set. He's not going in there with somebody that is just going to lay down and let this win. And one thing I did notice of Benavidez, he said it in a podcast, the best Canelo we saw was the Canelo that fought Triple G on steroids.
Yeah.
So if Canelo comes in clean and he's not the same, he doesn't come in with the same skill set, what's gonna happen? You know, you gotta take all those things into account, you
Yeah.
know. So in my opinion, I feel like Crawford's gonna edge out the fight, and it's gonna shut a lot of people up. But that is it gonna be a good fight? It's gonna be a great fight. It's not gonna be an easy fight for Crawford at all.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with just about everything you said. Yeah, it really is. You always hear the saying a 50-50 fight, but this one really, you can see either one of these guys getting their hand raised. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine either one of them losing. We've never seen Bud lose. I mean, so you know, it's never happened. Frez, when you were growing up watching boxing, you mentioned Muhammad Ali earlier. Was that the most? Was that the guy that you identify with the most and wanted to emulate and looked up to in the sport?
No, believe it or not, it was after I watched the Marvelous Marvin Hagler Sugar Ray Leonard fight.
Okay.
So I want to emulate more of a Sugar Ray Leonard type.
Okay.
Yeah, Sugar Ray Leonard. But Muhammad, you know, in my household, my dad, and God bless his soul, I remember instilling that conversation with me as a little kid about, you know, one of the greatest athletes that he loved was Muhammad Ali. And whoever thought his young son at that time, when I was like 5 years old, when Muhammad Ali beat Leon Spinks for the second time back in 79 or 80 or 79, I think. And man, I remember seeing it as a kid. I was like 5 years old, and man, it was yeah, iconic. So I have to go with the great Ali, you know, who I seen as a kid, as a baby boy.
Joey, is there any pressure, or do you put pressure on yourself, you know, because you are from that Trinidad bloodline? I mean, it's obviously like you know, it's a huge honor, you know, to be from the Trinidad, you know, bloodline. Because Felix was so amazing and such a legend. Is there any pressure that comes with that for you?
I'm not gonna lie, if I was to tell you it doesn't, it is. But one thing that Wilfredo Vasquez Jr., he's a good friend of mine, told me, he's like, look, people expected me to be just like my dad. People thought that I was gonna be just like my dad, but I realized throughout my career that I'm me. You know, and my best piece of advice to you, young champ, because I see you got potential and you can be a world champion. He's like, but you can't carry the Trinidad legacy. He's your uncle. He's related to you. But at the end of the day, he doesn't go in there and fight for you.
Right.
He's like, you need to make your own name. You need to give it 100% in the ring.
Yeah.
And by you giving it 100% in training camp, in the ring, and winning the fights, the world titles, and everything comes by itself. And that's how you keep the legacy and make it proud. But don't carry the burden on your shoulders from people putting it on you, because you have to make your own name. You have to make your own legacy. You don't want people remembering you because of your uncle, but you want people remembering you because of you.
Right.
And I took those words to heart when he gave them to me. And I'm like, especially coming from him, because he's a junior.
Right.
You know, so he knows the pressure.
Right. That's real. And you're right about that, blazing your own path. Frez, we laughed about it a couple minutes ago. You know, about holding you back. You look like you're ready for a comeback. But at 50 years old, you do look good, and we've seen guys come back older. Was that just something that you were joking about, or would you, for the right price, actually fight still?
Oh yes, absolutely. I stay in shape. Like he said, I can hang with him. When he first started camp, I was leaving him miles away. Now he caught up. Now he's in good fighting shape. So that's a good thing that I do with a lot of my students. You know, I take them to the deep water, the running, the conditioning part, and all that. The calisthenics. And once they get to that level, hey, they're ready to go. So that's why Joey and I, man, we maintain, train, run every day, and do calisthenics. And man, then we'll be taking them to the gym, and Nate Jones will be sharpening them up, you know, tuning them up. And man, I love it. I want to get in there. I miss it so much. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, thank God I still got my marbles and all that good stuff. And my
man, all I gotta say, man, have you ever seen a heavyweight run almost a 7-minute mile?
Unbelievable. He looks fantastic. Unbelievable.
Thank
you
you.
do.
Wow.
I mean, you do. I got a couple extra pounds, Frez. You got an extra room at the crib for me. I might have to come out.
You know what's interesting, Rex? It was interesting is, like I told my nephew, I'm at the weight when I fought the Black Rhino. I'm in my prime weight, you know.
I believe it.
Strength don't have to be, taking all this artificial supplements or lost weight, supplements that lose weight.
Yeah.
Everything is natural. Everything's organic. And man, my nephew could speak on that behalf because we both do the same thing. And yeah, we just got to be right to each other and do stuff the natural way or, the healthy way.
Yeah. I forgot about the Clifford Etienne fight, man. And
Wow. That's the fight that took me over, back to the world class.
And now he's a guy that ended up with a bad hard luck story, though, man. I mean, he's locked up forever, though, man.
His wife reached out to me not too long ago, like a year or two ago, and I'm like, "Who is this?" Because she sounded very familiar. I remember meeting her at the fight.
That's too bad.
It was his wife. Yeah, she was just want to say hi. I guess she see my social media, and she reached out, and it's sad that. He's got. I guess they threw the keys away on him, right?
Oh yeah, he's done. Yeah. I don't think, unfortunately, the Black Rhino Clifford Etienne will probably ever be released from prison. That's unfortunate, man. It is.
How about Ike Belbucci? Is he out now? I heard he's
Ike I've had on the podcast. Yeah, Ike is out, man. And Ike, I believe, unless it fell through, and I haven't been keeping up, man, but Ike actually at 51 years old or 52 or whatever he is, was actually supposed to have a fight here back in July. I don't know if it fell through or if it happened. I'd have to touch base with Ike, man. But yeah, I've known Ike a long time, man. And like Ike, when you remember back in the days, man, he was feared.
Oh yeah,
he was a scary heavyweight. He was a scary heavyweight, man.
Yeah. I remember seeing one of his fights when I went to LA. He was up and coming. He fought like a 6-round, 8-round. I forgot who it was that he stopped. But yeah, the first time I seen him in the late 90s, man, when I went to LA to meet with the great Chuck, what was his name? He was a great cut man from Chicago, but he lived in Arizona.
Yeah, that's where Ike was. Yeah, that's where Ike was. Yeah.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, Ike's career got cut down with troubles with the law too, man.
Yeah.
But he was right on the cusp of landing fights with Tyson, fights with Lennox. He was he had that amazing fight with Tua where they set the CompuBox record for most punches between two heavyweights. Yeah, to this day, and then he had that vicious knockout of Chris Bird. He was on his way, man.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
He was on his way. It's a shame, man. It's a shame. But but he's back. And, his game plan, he puts videos up. He does want to get back in the actual heavyweight picture. I just don't know with his age and his inactivity, if he would have a hard time getting fights sanctioned, if he could crack the top 5 and get those heavyweight champions. I don't know,
Does he go on social media and do his training or anything like that, or no?
He's on Instagram, and he does look in amazing shape. He's really taking care of his body, even when he was locked up, man. Yeah, he looks fantastic.
Send me a message on Instagram so I can see him. I can follow on Instagram.
Yeah.
He probably remembers me. I was amateur still at the time when I was in Cali. Yep, that year in '97, I believe, '98. That's when I first seen him fight.
Yeah, and so. And so do you have a specific date, Joey, for your fight or anything concrete that you know of right now?
Well, I mean, I can't really, like I said, it's still on the same thing. I can't really say. I know for sure it's September.
Okay.
Now, my guess, could be September 13th or September 20th. That's what we're the 2 days that we might be looking at. But
is there a chance with September 13th that it could be on the Crawford Canelo undercard?
No, it's gonna be on a promotion that's big. It's gonna try to compete with them, but I don't think there's any competition with that fight, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's a tough one to go up against right there. That's a hard one. Why did is there a fight in your career, Frez? I mentioned you got all these great names on your resume. Is there a fight with a heavyweight out there that you would have liked to have had happen in your career and it just for some reason didn't? Is there a name missing on the resume that you would have liked to have fought?
But it's interesting you mentioned that. Yes, there is one, and I believe his name at that time was oh shucks, man. And he said actually he lost to one of my guys who I ended up beating in amateurs, Hakeem Rockman.
Okay. So you would have liked to have had Hakeem Rockman.
Yeah. Style makes fight. My style would have, fare very well against him.
Were you ever at any point in time in your career close to a fight with Mike Tyson, who's not on the resume?
Yes, I got it's on my one of my Instagram posts. The top 5 fighters that Tyson picked, I was considered one of those top 5 at the time. It was in Ring Magazine, I believe, or KO Magazine. And yes, I was considered, but of course, my style is similar to Holyfield, so he was trying to get away from that when he was coming back. But yeah, my name was one of the names mentioned. Yes, I'll send you that.
And so before I let you gentlemen out of here, Frez, I'd like you to give a shout out to what you got going on there, man, with your charity and with working with the kids or whatever.
Thank you all very much. Yes, I'm working with an underprivileged, at-risk, and community service in my neighborhood, not only my neighborhood, abroad, from the States, worldwide, my foundation, Football Foundation. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram, Facebook. My personal name, FRES OQUENDO, and my Instagram and Facebook foundation, Football Foundation, because it's a thing that's very hard to me. I do this before I was a professional. That was my dream. And my dad, may God bless his soul, he is still that heart of caring for kids and giving them second chances. And that's why I'm a champion of second chances. And I thank my dad, Patano Kendo, for that. And yes, make sure you guys look me up, Frezzo Kendo, Football Foundation, Instagram, Facebook. And man, I thank everybody for checking me out. And let's spread the good word, man. Let's give kids a second chance.
And Joey, what about you? People want to keep up with your career, man. Where's the best place, man? You're on the socials, I'm sure, right?
You guys can find me at Boxing Joey on Instagram, YouTube, and Joey Borrero on Facebook. And I recently opened up a Twitter, so Joey Borrero _18.
Welterweight division is on blast now. Joey's coming. Joey's arrived.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Listen, man, I appreciate chopping it up with both of you guys, man. Love and respect both of you guys, man. Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
It took a couple of years, but we got it done.
We got it done, man. And you know what, man? I got your number and Joey's. We'll stay in touch.
Family, family, man.
Yeah.
Good thing about you through the community.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. We'll stay in touch, and we'll definitely do this again. Joey, as soon as you got something concrete and the fight's lined up, man, we'll get on here and we'll chop it up, man.
All right, thank you, brother. God bless, man.
Appreciate you guys. You too. God bless you guys. Later, guys. There they go, folks. Unexpected surprise. I was only scheduled to have Fast Frez on here, and then we get joined by Joey Borrero, friend of the show, former guest. Super honored to have both of those guys on. Thank you to both of them. A wonderful surprise. As I said, it was only supposed to be me and the Big O. And then there was Joey Borrero, who just made the announcement that he's moving to welterweight. He is, of course, the nephew of the great Felix Tito Trinidad. With the crown comes great responsibility. He is carrying that Trinidad name, though, man, but doing it justice, man. Love talking to both of those guys. Love soaking up info about Frez Oquendo's career, those big fights, those big names on his resume, those big moments in his career, and just the wisdom that you can glean off a guy like that, man. Always great to have our OGs on here and celebrate them and our up-and-comers. That was the best of both worlds of what Off the Couch Boxing does right now. The OGs, the legends, and the young future stars. So that was a great episode, an amalgamation of what we do here in one episode. So great conversation, great chopping up those guys. Again, my sincere gratitude to Frez Oquendo, former heavyweight contender. I like to build him up even more than just calling him a mere heavyweight contender. 37-8 in his career, 24 knockouts. I mentioned a lot of the names. Shared the ring with Oliver McCall, Bruce Seldon, James Toney, Evander Holyfield, John Ruiz, Chris Bird, David Tua, David Izon, Obed Sullivan, Clifford Etienne, Burt Cooper. An amazing resume. There ain't nobody on there that he didn't fight. Not his generation, man. Stepped up and took them all on, man. Truly one of the great heavyweights of all time. Slick with it. Not just a banger, not just a bruiser, man. A technically sound heavyweight fighter, man. Always enjoy watching Frez do his thing. And Joey Borrero, soon to throw his hat into the welterweight division. Big things coming for him too, man. So awesome talking with those guys. Appreciate both of them. Now let's get down to pimping the podcast. Make sure to like and follow Off the Couch Boxing on Facebook. The Facebook is Off the Couch Boxing and Pod Scum, both my podcasts. One Facebook because I'm too lazy to have two. I'm not manning two Facebooks. If you're into the music and the arts, we got you covered with Pod Scum. And if for all your pugilistic needs, we got you covered here on Off the Couch Boxing. So like the Facebook page. You'll get updates on new episodes when they're dropping, who will be on them, and big boxing news. If it's popping off in the fight game, I got you covered. And of course, if you're here on the channel right now, like, subscribe, smash that notification bell, stay tapped in. Y'all know what we do. The most amazing and real boxing conversations happen right here. Legends, luminaries, world champions, and fighters on the come up. Right in that episode, we had legends, OGs, future champions, luminaries. We had it all covered right there in that episode, man. So again, thank you to Fast FRES, OQUENDO, Joey Borrero. And again, stay tapped in. This is why we are the undisputed, undefeated heavyweight champion of boxing podcast. Once again, we've proven it. We've defended the crown with this episode. This episode right here is like a title defense. Go check out the playlist. Go check out, we're north of 260 episodes. Go check out the whole archive, if you will. There's a lot to sink your teeth into. Like I always say, something for everybody, and that's why we're the champions. And you too can be a champion. All you got to do is continue to stay tapped in to Off the Couch Boxing. That's the first rule right there. Stay tapped in to Off the Couch Boxing and continue to roll with the champs. Peace.